Welcome to Wild Instincts. It's Tia Torres here, and let's just dive right into it, shall we? So the last I spoke, I had introduced you to the training company I was working with, and despite hearing really negative things about these companies that worked with animals in the entertainment field, the McMillan Ranch turned out to be the opposite. They were really, really just very caring about their animals. So that was very just refreshing, and I was so in awe of everything. So at least I had that to work off of. They weren't. They just treated the animals just so wonderfully. So our first week of training, I was then informed that the animals had to, the wolf dogs, and all the animals, but, since I was working with my wolf dogs, God, I'm having a problem talking today. Jeez. Um, because my animals especially had zero training, I was told that they had to understand that they had to come to me for everything. Now, it sounds a little alpha-y, right? A little alpha. We want you to be their leader. But what was so great about the way they trained, it wasn't about domination or manipulation or scaring them or anything like, a lot of traditional trainers do now. It was about the need. It was about just building a relationship based on depending on each other. Now, I was given two other trainers to work with, Chris and Nicole, who were amazing, just amazing. And so what we were taught was, from now on, I no longer feed the wolf dogs like in the traditional sense, like put down a bowl of food in the morning. So from now on, I take that same amount of food and they get fed throughout the day, but they have to come to us for it. Now, to reward them with this new routine, they didn't just receive kibble anymore. The McMillans taught us to put use chunks of meat and some really yummy stuff. So while this was a new routine for the wolf dogs, they were like, oh, this is way better. So, because at first I was like, what? I don't know that I could do that. I'm like, wait a minute, Tia, come on, think about yourself. Like, I wouldn't have to sit down and eat a traditional meal all in one sitting. Like, I'm not going to die. I could eat like a little bit here, a little bit there. And what's so interesting, without even knowing it, years later, that would come into play into my life. So to get a little sidetracked for a second, that's how I eat breakfast to this day. I eat my breakfast at different times of the morning. Maybe I'll eat my bacon first thing, and then an hour or so later, a muffin, and then maybe a little bit later, potatoes. So I'm still alive to tell the tale. So we did this for about the first week. And it was really mainly for Chris and Nicole because, again, they had no relationship with them. And as we were getting into this routine, at the same time, we taught the dogs their name. And believe it or not, even though they had names, they didn't really know them. I mean, selectively, I guess, selective hearing. But everything was taught in stages. For example, it wasn't like, okay, sit, stay, lie down, stay. We were allowed to teach them in little bits and pieces, which was so great. So the first thing I remember teaching them and learning myself was to teach, I'll call them the dogs what they call a mark. Some trainers call it go to your place. So basically, this was a place on the ground where you wanted the dog to eventually stay in place. Now, if you watch TVs and movies where other animals are involved, especially dogs, you'll see like a dog walk in a room and then all of a sudden it stops and it's looking at the camera or at the actors. What you're not seeing is the trainer off camera telling the dog, go to your mark or go to your place. So this is for so the camera can get different angles and whatnot. So what we did is we started off teaching the dogs to go to a mark with a little wooden circle, thicker than a piece of plywood. Okay. And we carried these around with us wherever we went. And so what we would do is, one of us would walk the dog up on leash, have him put his front feet on the little wooden plate. And then myself, whoever was working the dog would go, for instance, Nashaka. Nashaka ended up being like the lead wolf dog. And we would call him Nashaka, mark. And we kept the commands very simple. We didn't have long, drawn-out sentences. Hey, Nashaka, come here and come to your mark. So it was Nashaka. And that meant, okay, she's calling me. I'm coming to her without even telling him. Just Nashaka, mark. And one of the trainers would walk him up on leash, let him put even one of his front feet on the little wooden plate. The second he did it, it was like, good boy. You reward him with food. And then you turn around and walk him away. Okay? He didn't have to stay. He didn't have to sit. It was just teaching him to go to a mark. And that's what we did for the first week or two, was teaching all the dogs a mark. Now, not all of them did well. Matter of fact, we started to see that some of the dogs had certain natural talents. For example, Spirit, she was the one that looked most like a wolf. She did not get along with the rest of them, so we couldn't run her in a pack. She refused to be trained, okay? But she had this natural talent. She picked up everything in her mouth and walked around with it and would not let go. And if you tried to get it from her, she'd, typical wolf behavior, because she had a lot of wolf in her. So I was told that there were going to be several scenes in the movie where one of the wolf pack members had to have something in its mouth. And one particular scene I won't get into right now, but it turned out to be a big part in the movie. And the wolf dog was going to have a pretty, not literal, but an aggressive tug of war with the character who played Mowgli. So Spirit got to stay on because she was only going to do certain things. Okay. She was like a stunt wolf. But the other ones, gosh, can I remember all their names? Oh, Nashaka, Lobo. Here's the inside joke on Lobo. He was a dog. He was like a husky mix. So we named him Wolf Lobo. Nashaka, Lobo, Mieko, Celine, and there was one more. Her name began with a T. I think it was Taja. There you go. There was 5 of them. And then Spirit made the 6th. And so we had 5 that ran together, and then Spirit was on her own. So in addition to learning the mark, they also had to learn a pack run. So that was what the first 2 weeks were, is teaching them to run together without getting nasty with each other, because they were coming for food. So we didn't want them fighting over and when they got to us, we had to make sure everybody got their treats distributed evenly. But it was done with such patience, and everything was about what made it easiest for the wolf dogs. And I want you to really pay attention to that, because so many of these trainers today, make it about making themselves look good. How fast can I do this? And taking a chance and throwing some of the owners under the bus, for them, it's all a matter of convenience. Like, I don't care. I just want it done fast. I just don't want my dog biting anymore. I want my dog to come when I call him now. Well, don't we all? So the first couple of weeks, although very repetitive, it was all about teaching them their name, teaching them to come to a particular place that we asked them to be, and working together as a pack, not only for them, but also for Chris, Nicole, and I to work together as a human pack. And for the first 2 weeks, it was magical. It was so refreshing to be able to learn the way I did. Okay, well, next week we're gonna have to up the ante a little bit and throw in a couple of new characters into the story, and that's when things are going to get really inside. Like I said, I'm having a problem today speaking. Next episode is going to get a little bit more exciting because we got some new characters coming into the story. All right, y'all. Well, you know what? I decided what my words of advice will be at the end of every episode. Always go with your gut and stick to your instincts. Next week, till we meet again.